Hello there, Victor Pross speaking to you, anarchist artist. Okay, today we're going to talk about, very briefly, George H. Smith's book, God, or Atheism rather, the case against God. And you can see within the visual there a bearded picture of a dude. That's my drawing. I did that. That's a depiction of how I pictured God. Pretty much the old fart curmudgeon there. Not too pleased with the way things are going on in his name, I guess, maybe. That's what it's communicating there. But yes, that is my drawing and how I see God in my third eye. Okay, now the George H. Smith. I've had the pleasure of meeting George H. Smith. He truly is a very intelligent dude. There's no question about that. And the first time I read George H. Smith's book, the Atheism, the Case Against God, I was just a teenager, and having read it again so many years later, I find the arguments just as valid and compelling as I did as a very young man. As an atheist, I am happy to concede only one thing when it comes to the believer, to the theist, the God believer. There's only one thing that I can pretty much agree with when it comes to the theist, speaking as an atheist, and that's this: God exists. That's right, you heard me. God exists. God does exist. I'm saying that as an atheist. I say that to the theist. That's what we can agree on. God does exist. Only it exists as an idea in the mind of the theist who entertains the idea. That's sure. In that sense, this thing exists. It exists as an idea in the mind of the theist who entertains the construct. Now, such a thing, such a construct, does not exist in the external, objective universe outside of our mushy, propagandized noggins. It can't exist. I mean, we have to take we have to come together on a definition of what existence means. What does that mean? It's a very broad, abstract, true, but once you come to a basic definition of what existence means, it's very hard to stuff the idea of God within that definition. Basically, God is entirely an article of faith. Okay, you don't take existence on faith. Let's put it this way. A God susceptible to proof would actually starve the spirit of faith. A God open to logic, to the scientific method, to rational understanding, would have to be definable, delimited, finite, amendable to human concepts, obedient to scientific law, and therefore incapable of miracles. And this basically is a brief indication of George's essential points. The Case Against God hammers the points with outstanding analysis and logical lucidity. And if God did exist, such a thing would merely be one object among others within the universe, within the natural world. It would be another datum for the scientist, and not a transcendent power running the galaxy and demanding mankind's worship while imposing a series of moral commandments. Oh man, I mean, you talk about caricatured metaphysics. The whole idea is ridiculous. Now, I wholeheartedly recommend this book to atheists and theists alike, and perhaps most especially to those wobbly fence-sitters, the agnostics. And after digesting the arguments, I don't even think that the supposed omnipotence of God, whatever that means, can withstand the power of the arguments presented in George H. Smith's book. The German philosopher Nietzsche will tell you that God is dead, but George H. Smith will prove to you that God never lived. Now, we do often hear criticisms hurled from theists saying that, man, you atheists, you really spend a lot of energy into something, trying to prove that such a being doesn't exist. For something that doesn't exist, you really pour a lot of energy into that. And yeah, I've heard that said in various different ways in the last 30 years, I guess. But certainly within George's book, he deals with the question, and it might be said that atheism by default can be reduced to a triviality given its lack of belief. But atheism is important, writes George H. Smith, because theism is important. And he states that the subject of God is not a remote, abstract topic with little influence in the lives of men. On the contrary, it's the core of Western religion, specifically the Judeo-Christian religion tradition, which includes a system of doctrines dealing with every branch of philosophy. So in that sense, that's the significance behind it. So it's in that sense, it's taken on a great deal of import and it has to be dealt with in a very vigorous philosophical manner. And but as far as I'm concerned, just to let you know, I am not a militant atheist, just an intransigent one. So really, it is a dead issue to me. I'm not like Madame O'Hara going on a campaign trying to disprove God. It's a moot point for me. There's more important things to focus on, but certainly it does have relevance in today's world. Victor Pross, anarchist, atheist artist, signing out. Pop.